What's up, everybody? It's Mitch from RespectMerchant.com coming back with another episode of the RMR podcast. Today, joined by three special guests of Urban Aroma over on the East Coast. We got M1, Umi, and John Monopoly. How are we doing today, fellas?
What up, Mitch? Thanks for having us.
I'm even greater now.
Hell yeah. So we start every episode off with our guest origin story with cannabis. So I'm gonna start right next to me with John, and then we'll go to Umi, and then we'll land on M1 to bring us home. But I'm curious your personal origin story with the plant, and that plant being cannabis.
Sure. My origin story with the plant, with the medicine, as we refer to it as, goes back to 1991. I was a young promoter in Chicago, based on the South Side, and I was stressed out about, were there going to be a sellout party or was it going to be a dud? And one of my homeboys was just like, "Yo, relax, we got to chill, whatever, hit this type of vibe." So I smoked for the first time, and I started laughing like crazy, and it was a great experience, and it turned me on to something that would be close to my heart and become a part of my lifestyle for the rest of my life.
Man, we got to thank that dude, man. I don't even know. You got to mention him in your origin story, because goddamn, that's thank him, bro.
Absolutely, you're right.
Well, what about you, Umi? As you compose yourself.
Shit. Man, and it's funny when you hear them dates thrown out there, because it kind of ages us. First of all, I want to send a salute to you, Mitch, for even having us on this whenever we get a chance to express ourselves. And our love for cannabis combined is always a glorious day, you know what I'm saying? So, but cannabis to me is like, man, shit, that's like, me understanding that, you could drink water and do better, you know what I'm saying? So I was early at it, talking about dates, probably the 89, 90, just, wanting to get high, man. Just, I had some good family that understood the plant medicine. They always, my household just was full of herb. And so, coming from that, it made me also real socially responsible to my family. Like, I didn't want to make my mom think that she had fucked up. She gave us a lot of leniency, let us blow it down in the basement. You know what I mean? So, like, we broke a lot of love, and a lot of bonds were formed through that plant. You know what I'm saying? So that became a reason why I made it a part of my lifestyle.
Word. And I mean, I'll tag team and just say, if my origin story was a store, a brand, it would say established 1972. It would say, from the womb to the tomb, and which is the truth. My parents too were avid smokers, although I think like the terpenes and the CBD and the probably more of the THC, they was probably smoking some Acapulco Gold shit or something back in that time, and that really bonded with my DNA. Forward 13 years later, we're talking 85. I had a similar experience. You know what I'm saying? That as Mr. John Monopoly. And I was sitting in the car, and the guy said, "Smoke this." And little did I know that this is the same smell that was in my house all these years. Because my parents were pretty good at keeping a secret. But yeah, that is my origin story with cannabis. And it has been my friend since the beginning. Definitely allowed me to be me. And I felt at home in the environment. I wafted the smoke over my body like perfume, and wear it like a shield. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, real tough. Yeah,
Absolutely. And so, and I'm curious, Em, if you could also give me kind of the origin around Urban Aroma, because that's the platform we're here to talk about. And I know you and Umi co-founded that with John joining a little bit earlier, but Umi definitely was paying some homage earlier, saying that it's kind of a part of your brainchild, your baby there, man. So I'm curious for you to kick it off, and then we'll let Umi speak on the origin of Urban Aroma.
Well, Urban Aroma was born from the need to connect, cannabis to its consumer in all of the places where we know the time has been right for that relationship to happen above ground. Urban Aroma is an above ground institution that's declaring that we're pushing the agenda from the so-called, gray zone to green zone, but within the watchful eye of the culture, of the connoisseur, the purveyor, the legacy operator. We are the place, the crossroad where cannabis connects, and not only just connects with the buyer, but also connects with the thought, connects with the idea of how to, amplify what's already been here for many, many, many years to the next level. It functions as a what would be like a Weed Maps meets cookies meets something that hasn't been defined for the East Coast, and in Europe, in Barcelona. So one of my partners and I came together and we started looking at how this narrative was not being told by the people who are paying the highest price for it. Urban Aroma was established so that Black faces could be seen at the forefront and the driving force behind an industry that should be planned out to benefit these faces that it has incarcerated and criminalized for the year throughout its long legacy, throughout its history. So that's kind of indeed what Urban Aroma is. It is a place, a destination where culture, cannabis, activism, and more meet. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, and in doing that, because being on the forefront of any idea is responsible driven, right? I think we also want a level ground or accountability from policymakers. We want accountability, in a regard to the people that kind of pioneered this industry. And so, I think when we talk about Urban Aroma, we're talking about being a vocal platform so that people can not only understand the directory end of individuals that's not able to obtain licenses, but also the activism that kind of needs to kind of be spoken in the same regard when you talk about just rolling up a joint. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is political. So we want to urge, our, family and constituents, just remind them that this is plant medicine and it's way deeper than just rolling up a joint. You know what I'm saying?
I want to add on to what Umi's saying. He triggered me into that kind of understood, like wanting to go further and say, Urban Aroma is politically, because when he used the words politics, which is a great, that's a flagpole in cannabis. The politics, that's one part of it, but it's definitely that. But politically, it's the antithesis to New York City's Office of Cannabis Management. And the reason why I can say it stands juxtaposed to that is because it fills in the blanks where this kind of bureaucratic office cannot. Urban Aroma stands to answer the whys that the local government of New York and ultimately the federal government are trying to impose on the user, on us, on the consumer, on the lover. Yeah. So
No,
yeah, that's what we are.
I love that. And something birth from the culture. You know, the culture is what the culture of cannabis is the reason why it is where it's at, right? If you follow the history of cannabis, you know, to find cannabis back in the day before there was a weed maps, or even before, you know, pre-weed maps, or after weed maps, you know, now you can just go to Google in a lot of states, Google cannabis, weed store, dispensary, pot shop, whatever. Plenty of options right there on Google Maps. You know, weed maps filled that void for a little bit before Google had it. But before that, it was all person to person. It was in the know. If you didn't know, maybe there was some message boards or some sketchy things online. But most of the time, it was straight communal. It was either directly from someone you knew, or someone you knew plugged you with someone else you know. What are some of those elements that you guys have felt like are essential of moving into this new digital age and moving where things are legal, but to kind of have these elements of still word of mouth, but put in the form of the internet, or search queries, if you will?
I mean, I can say this, you know, we've moved completely out of the old, what it used to be like. There is, okay, for New York City, which is, I would say, different than many places on the East Coast, because you have a established relationship with your cannabis delivery for many years. I'm talking about, you know, Umi can tell you, I've seen his constituents stay with him from years and years and years on, and that is kind of like the relationship of what's happening, you know, kind of, you know, in New York. You know, however, things are quickly changing. You know what I mean? You're getting more options by which, you know, you can run up. I don't know if I would just trust going in any storefront saying, give me some Blue Dream. I don't know if it would be Blue Dream, which I do not smoke because I'm a indica smoker, but or whether you can trust who's delivering that to you. It has been like an honor relationship, from a trusted word of mouth relationship before now, and I think what that is being obliterated by the inundation of people who believe they can just come in cannabis and just be there and set up shop on the corner, and then now most of the people are having to weave around those people to get back to the same person that they've been having that relationship for a long time with, but it's still there. I don't know. Add on, my brothers.
Yeah, to add on to what M was saying, you know, throughout years of relationship building with clients, like what M was saying, like what Umi has done, and like a code has been developed. And, you know, we're trying to expand and expound upon that with what we're doing with Urban Aroma, and to letting you know who else kind of live by that same code within our world, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, because even, you know, as someone that came from the legacy market and is obviously, you know, I'm in Washington, we've had legal cannabis, adult use cannabis since 2016, but coming from the legacy market, I understand that code, and now we have, you know, a barcode, a different kind of code, right, on every product where you can trace the lineage, see the sale. But even at the end of the day, is this what it's marketed as? Like, is this really quality? Because it's easy to say no pesticides and fudge some numbers around. It's easy to pay for a higher THC percentage than you know, just because it's regulated in a government controlled system doesn't mean that it's not, you know, immune to funny business, right? So there still is that sense of going into a store and that importance of that code still being in place. And is this really the gas? Is this really the good batch? Is this really the one I want, or is it the one sitting next to it?
You know, Mitch, you know the shit you're talking about is, that's the reason why the legacy operator, is around. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why we take it in such high disregard, the fact that they, things are happening around us and not with us. You talking about I did an interview not so long ago, and this motherfucker is gonna ask me who is testing my crops. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, me, motherfucker, who else? You know what I'm saying? Like, would I expect the people that develop the 4 food groups to dictate to me what I should put into my body in a country where obesity thrives to the most maximum situation because our government really doesn't understand health? really doesn't care about consumers. I no, you cannot dictate to me what's the best chronic out here. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? You're not spending the proper money and spending the proper time to research the crop in efficient ways. And we're talking about countries, Israel and other spaces. You got spaces that's actually investing in this because they understand not just the end of cannabis being an incredible crop to blow on, or we could learn more and something to settle your mind, help anxiety. It's a whole number of things. Instill appetite, sleep, give you more energy. It's just so many things. But then you talk about hemp as a plant. So many things you could do with hemp. I mean, it's so much research that just hasn't been done. And so you're trying to regulate a crop without doing the proper knowledge on it. And it's insulting. It's like, get the fuck out of here with that. Don't tell me what we already know. And it's all based on taxation and finance, really, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So it's just so much to discuss, and it's so much that's been disregarded as it relates to us getting to this point. And it seems like in the Empire State, which is veered to be possibly the most profitable, space for cannabis that ever existed on Earth, it seemed like we would want to try to get it right. It seemed like we would want to put our ear to the streets and be like, you know what, it was a time when you came to Brooklyn, man, because I'm not even from New York, but I always did what I needed to do in any city I was at. But when I first got here, you go to the bodegas and you will get your chronic. You know what I mean? Like, you go to the back where they make the sandwiches, and if you was a real one, you could always get some chronic. They could if you had to know what was what, but you could always get your chronic. And to see it resurface to that all around, all the way back to that today, there's a lot of hope in that. I find a lot of hope. I see a lot of hope in that, but in that same regard, you see the cause and the effect. Now you got the stop and frisk shit starting back up. You got a whole lot of shit going. The taxation and finance. If you get caught with certain amounts of chronic in a gifting fashion, just a lot of politics in New York that has to be readdressed and has to be discussed properly. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Absolutely. And as we look at that, right, moving to legalization from the culture, right, from the subculture of cannabis that's been operating for decades, right? Like, cannabis has been grown, it's been commerced, and it's been consumed, it's been shared with or without a system, with or without government oversight. There's a price point that's been established, appellations of growth that have been established. And, like, alcohol was legal and made illegal, prohibition was put in place. Cannabis is a thing where, at least in the form that we know as, it's never really been legalized on a mass level. It's only been in the dark, and it's coming to light. And we have these governments trying to set up these systems and taxes that end up dictating the prices, and we see things that doesn't match up with the legacy market, if you will. And I know earlier on a off-mic conversation when we were mentioning that, they say 80% of the cannabis in California. I mean, there's very varying percentage points, but they put around 80% of the cannabis bought and sold in California still in the black market. And it's because the people that have been buying and consuming cannabis for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years are set in their palette and their price points and their supply are all set in place. And legalization only has things to gain by including these. That's more money in their system that they can tax. That's more volume in their system that they can tax. What are some of the important things for you guys that you feel like, beyond just the economic standpoint from obviously the government winning on this standpoint, but the importance of making sure that the legacy market stays with the shift towards this new legalized market in any state?
Well, I want to start with this and say, like, one, I respect the hell out of Washington State, right? I respect the hell out of Washington State. Like, we used to have to tour in order to wind up in that area to have, sample some of the finest boutique cannabis that could be offered, grown with the most love and care. But I have to say that love and care, to me, is defined in a national way. If I had to put it under a certain parameter, this is wellness. This is the wellness of our mind, body, and soul. And you guys procured that, took care of the wellness. It came from almost like the personal medicine cabinets of the people that we knew in the most pristine containers, because they knew they wanted us to be able to like understand the food. You know what I mean? And I think that's got to be, I know commerce is driving this shit. I know 100% know that. And I'm not trying to, let the hippie in me come forward a little bit and talk, because the money's going to get made. And we do know that. But if we come together under the idea that this is wellness, you know what I'm saying? That this is balance, this is good for our community, our people, the minds of the future, policymakers, then I think that's going to help keep this thing on course. You know what I mean? Because we've seen it again go awry. When I think of Washington State, I think of like the idea that there is an ethics, there's a standard, there is of course there's a hustle. There's a hustle everywhere because we're hungry everywhere. But we gotta at least recognize that this is the thing that came first. This is how you value how sacred this plant is. That's where you start. And then we can make it all make sense once we have that like-mindedness. If you're coming in like Big Pharma and you only see this as a money grab, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss what this has to offer, to the world. And again, I know like maybe the Office of Cannabis Management don't give a fuck about what I'm saying right now. But if the people do, then we can influence how they then perceive what we plan to get fed. Well, this is the store. Well, they gotta have this, and this. It ain't gonna be a food desert. And if we're familiar with food deserts, it's like in the Black community where we live, there's a lack of vitamins, nutrients, minerals, shit in basic food for us to even stay a fucking alive. We're malnutrition in our communities, and anybody who doesn't, know this, you can look it up. It's called a food desert, and it's real in the real world in inner cities and where poor people live. And what I'm trying to say is we can't have that happen in cannabis. We can't have that happen in cannabis. And we're here to ensure things of that nature. So I remember the question, but I kind of aligned it to it a little bit. I hope I didn't go too far off, but I just wanted to
we're talking about the legacy operator and where they fit into the whole proposition. I mean, I think you bringing up Washington State. And so when you speak on the legacy operations, right? The key to it, you look at what's going on in New York. They moving ass backwards, and that's because they haven't had the proper advice, right? You need an advisory board of people that's been in this industry that understand the nuances of the industry. So when you automatically say you're going to come out with these growing stipulations and you're trying to figure out a way to keep all of the chronic that's being bought in New York, I mean, it's just ass backwards. It's not enough time and it's not enough knowledge here. We need to outsource. You need to bring in those, legacy operators that's from California, from Washington State, that understand the nuances of growing, that could come into New York and really set up shop to help the state actually get this chronic that's going to be top notch compared to what legacy operators already got in the streets. You know what I'm saying? They 45 years behind, you know what I'm saying? And they trying to come in like they on top of shit. And you behind, you know what I'm saying? You're straight up behind. So I think as it relates to just understanding the nuances of the industry, you need to just have people that's done it before. Shit, like if I was trying to, you know what I mean? If I was trying to fucking chop some ice, I go get some professional ice choppers and shit. I wouldn't be trying to do that shit myself. I don't really do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if John wanted to say something.
No, I was gonna say to M and Umi's point, Black and brown people or people of color in general represent less than 4% of the overall pie, and we are the legacy. You know what I mean? We are the ones in the dark hustling and bustling and doing our 1-2 to try to feed our families, right? So it's a travesty that we're so underrepresented in the overall piece, and that I hope that changes as cannabis becomes federally more and more legal throughout the country and throughout the world.
Absolutely. And I mean, and if you look at like historically at Black culture, right, especially in America, you know, we don't need to highlight the economic standpoint and the way systems set up, but Black culture has been resourceful, right? And then hip hop is from Black culture, which is one of the most, as someone who's been around hip hop culture quite a bit, it's one of the most resourceful. You know, you will not meet people that are more resourceful than people from the hip hop community when it comes to putting together anything, whether it's putting together a show, an event, a product, whatever. It is a resourceful group. Cannabis is built in being resourceful, where you can grow it, where you can find it. And the legal system is built on traditional resources, not these other resources in the legacy market in hip hop, where it's the non-traditional, right? By any means, figuring it out, you know, however you got to make it happen. The system comes and it's very defined and it's built clearly. He who has the traditional resource of capital on hand, because you can't even take traditional financing or bank loans, right? And that's one of the hugest just conflict points that I see upon legalization is you force a system on top of a system that already exists, and it doesn't quite match up. You know,
Right.
I wanna speak to that in a way, and I've always made this analogy, and I'm looking for this to happen because I know it must. You know, the way like Cesar Chavez, like unionized and galvanized a movement of people who provided all of the goods and services that were fruit and shit that we ate from farm to our table in the United States which was like largely Mexico and then the growing states of America, to be able to unify that with a market and an industry that was going on in the United States. It was almost revolutionary. It brought rights to a whole group of people that didn't have it. And that's gotta happen here. That's gotta happen here, or else there will be an undercurrent that will not ever allow this to work right. And it's gonna forever be wrong. And we can accept that because the system has examples of that. You know what I mean? Like the healthcare system. You know what I mean? Like that shit's fucked up. Like we accept it. You know what I mean? We go around it. We do what we gotta do. We don't get insurance. We should not be relegated to that. And I have to make these clear analogies because these are government analogies. This is who plans to take care of the business of cannabis. The same people who take care of that, like Umi was saying, you know, like the same people who produced that chart that gave us obesity and bad health, you know. So again, you know, I think, you know, there must be, and what we have to recognize as the tide and the current, and people who are riding on the right side of this history, especially cannabis history, is like people who are saying yes, like okay, there will be rigid rules by the United States, and I know that we have to establish that. I'm not so much of a revolutionary that doesn't understand order. You know, it's just I've never liked this order. However, if we're gonna establish it and we're gonna translate that, I think there's a way to keep it organic, so it really comes from the people we can offer what's really available to us and our true experience, and we can scale it and allow everybody to eat. And so whoever can hear this, you know, I don't know, I got all the answers. John, even though John is an awesome motherfucker, he does not have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? Umi, we ran around the world together and we trying to figure this shit out and crack this nut. But I know that is what it is. That's what it's gonna feel like. That's what it's gonna look like. And other than that, this is plastic. I'm not gonna accept.
No, and you speaking on it. I'm gonna just to continue an analogy because Mitch, you brought up hip hop, and so like, and then that's because every time we do it, I gotta keep it up with that analogy as it relates to understanding how an industry is co-opted, and then when you talk about the blood, sweat, and tears of that industry, right? And so now that because we come from the golden era of hip hop, you know, just we got blessed to do that. You know what I mean? And we did it responsibly, and we ate, we toured, we did all the fun shit, but we just did it responsibly. So now I could play, my new daughter that's coming, our old music, and be proud. You know what I mean? Like that means something to me. But as the music get co-opted, right? That shit don't matter. Like you don't give a fuck about your daughter that's gonna be here in 20 years. You don't care about that. You care about the here and now, the capitalistic ventures that's attached to the music, and what you gotta say in your shit. Make sure that you get radio spins or commercials, a Sprite commercial, whatever the fuck you want to do to whoever's got their neck around hip hop, be it Seagram's Gin or whatever. And so we see now the industry that we had full like control over at one time because we started it. You know what I'm saying? And here we go all these years later to see the effects of what happened to an industry that gets co-opted. And here we have cannabis, another industry that we can really, really get grounded in, create financial wealth, generational wealth. I mean, we really could do that with this industry. And they finally have seen that, you know what I mean? And so here we go with the co-opted story all over again. I think it's important that these analogies are highlighted because sometimes we just forget, we caught up in the moment, and we just want to, we happy that it's now legal. It made you feel a little better because you can smoke and shit. Yeah, I do feel a little better because I've been traumatized by smoking my whole goddamn life. So yeah, I do feel a little better. I ain't got to worry about going to jail and shit because I want to light up. But the harder we say fuck, I'd rather it be like it used to be because they ain't got they hands around the neck of the shit to the point where we don't go to dispensaries because of the taxation of it. Really, if you lowered the prices, who the fuck wouldn't want to go there and enjoy all the flavors of that's right at your fingertips? You fucking make this shit dumb expensive when you can go right down the street and get this shit double fucking the amount for fucking half the price. I mean, come on, do knowledge on it. You know what I'm saying? So, all of these things have to be discussed from a practical standpoint. And then it's like, okay, you want to tax it? You want to tax it? Because like M say, we ain't that far gone off of, like, we revolutionaries, but we understand the process. You want to tax it? Okay, cool. Make a certain portion of it go to the community that the dispensary's in. Make it so that when you go and buy the bud, the money directly benefits right there, that community. So every time you buy some bud, you can be like, yeah, we put this gem here. I smoke so much chronic that we put this gem here. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be practical with the solutions as it relates to regulating this crop. This is a private fucking shit that we're allowing y'all to get into. Take it like that. Like, really understand it. I'm talking about to the government. Like, know that. Like, we allowing y'all to get into this. You know what I mean? So, respect us. You know what I mean? Respect us. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Believe that, and I think a lot of that takes to having, like what M was saying, is having the right leadership in place of helping make sure these regulations come in for a right thing. Do right by the communities, do right by the culture, and follow the what's working in other states, like what's really working and what's not working. And part of that, leadership is so important. And part of that is, I know you guys recently brought John in to become, CEO of Urban Aroma and leadership. So I'm curious, John, from your perspective of having a successful career in entertainment and music, what do you see in cannabis that kind of attracts you from a business side, and then what is it about Urban Aroma that made you wind up with the team?
So I've been a fan of cannabis since I was a teenager, like I told you, and I dibbled and dabbled in the black market, when I was young, to be honest. And I always understood that this was a necessary commodity in our community. And I knew that, early on that it was going to go legal. And I always wanted to be a part of that process. And I always wanted to end up on the legal side. I know M1 from being in the music business and working closely with Kanye. We worked together with Ye a couple years ago, became friends, and M was the one that brought me in to Urban Aroma, and it's a true blessing. The team is tight. We got a lot of great plans in the future, and I look forward to working with them for a long time.
Awesome. You guys recently also started the summer series over there at the Legacy NYC Art Gallery. And I know, John, you've been kind of helping pull some strings and help bring some entertainment in there. You guys recently had, I think, Mike Epps, correct? Was that last week?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Mike Epps.
Shout
Mike
out
Epps
to
was
Mike
last week
Epps.
and a couple of weeks. Yeah, shout out to Mike. He made it hot for us.
Top flight security.
Of the world, Craig.
That dude is everything, yo.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I mean, obviously in
then,
the
yeah, we
comedy
had,
realm, he's a legend, and the realms of the Friday series, you know, those later two, man, you know, legendary in cannabis culture that transcended just comedy, and I think, you know, Friday's held up there in terms of, you know, stoner classics, where we usually got like our dose of mainstream cannabis culture, you know, was music and a few entertainment, you know, few movies, right, through
Sure.
the 80s and 90s.
Well, let me say this real quick because I didn't get a chance to say this to Mike Epps, and I want to say this so it's somewhere publicly just said. You know, you're dealing with a certain specimen of human when you talk about Mike Epps, and that I think that's what doing a summer series is kind of about for us, to kind of give flowers to cats who deserve it. I mean, Mike Epps has kept both feet diligently in the community, but at the same time, he has figured out an exceptional way to cross over because he's an incredible actor. He once in a while does these incredible moments in film that you would never expect, from Hangovers, Marvel series. He has stood the test of time as well as it relates to actors in the industry. You know, incredible father. As I watch him move only on Instagram, unfortunately, I don't know his family that well, but I do know him. And I just want to say, you know, the summer series is kind of about celebrating, you know, cats that's doing what they should do in the community and in their careers, and kind of throwing out the flowers, and people that's kind of supported cannabis in that same regard as well. So shout out to Day Day Runts, and the shit that he's got going on that's beyond just, you know, acting. You know what I mean?
I want to say too, shout out to Manop for you know, John Manop for, you know, wrangling in Epps and doing it, because that's exactly what this culture is. Like, it's about connecting the dots. You know what I mean? So I gotta salute Manop and also, like, obviously Umi. You know, before I hand it back to John around the summer series, I just want to say, yeah, like, to Epps, like, my brother, like, he you know, he definitely represents what the summer series is. Unfortunately, we weren't able to like make a party around the Day Day Runts dropping him. We were able to do some really, really dope other stuff, like talk and catch up and reminisce over 15, 17 years of fucking around in New York and around the world. And that felt good. And definitely the Lower East Side community of Legacy NYC, our gallery, and dispensary had felt that. The neighborhood was on fire. You know, Epps was outside fucking around with people and, you know what I mean, smoking, telling jokes and shit. And so with that being said, you know, that's what we want to inject into the culture, is that those connecting those dots. And I do, you know, I definitely am giving thanks for reconnecting with the homie, doing crazy, amazing things. And, you know what I mean, you're going to hear about it, definitely. Like, you'll hear about it.
Yeah, I'm sick. I missed the one with Epps, but I know you guys have potentially got some other entertainers. I don't know if you guys want to spill the beans on some of the other potential guests for the rest of the summer series.
Yeah, we got. Should we talk about it, guys, or should I just keep it to myself? What do you think?
I mean, you know, we definitely know. You know, we got some things in the bag, man.
Yeah. Maybe we got some announcements coming soon within the next 7 days, so just hold tight on that.
Okay,
like big announcements. Yeah,
great announcement.
Yeah. Tell me, I'm gonna leak all of it, man. I'm gonna blow the lid off, ruin the whole promo rollout, man. Let me. Awesome. Well, before I get you guys up out of here, is there anything else you want to plug? Urban Aroma. What else is coming in 2022 and beyond?
Hey, we're planning to expand. We are obviously, a directory that's like, if you Google, where's the weed and whatever, you know, you're going to find us in places like Miami that has where I am currently and live, that have a, growing and important addition to what cannabis is looking like around America. You know what I mean? We places like Illinois that have done creative things already and have certain legislation in place and have interesting situations, and what I'm saying. So we plan to expand and tell the story and really change the narrative. Like, which is the reason why we plugged in with you. You know what I'm saying? Respect my reason, because we know we can tell it our way and we don't have to worry about, look, everything is political, right? But we just don't want to have the filter that doesn't allow people to see exactly what it is. And there's a lot of, legacy workers collaborating right now. Salute to all of us around America and everybody who is doing this work, because we're sticking those people together, stitching together one voice. And affecting that shit. It's gonna happen. It's gonna look beautiful everywhere we do it. We're gonna be having conferences and concerts and meetings and fucking around and with a lot of things. So I just want to say thank you for that and for having us here. And on behalf of Urban Aroma, get us on the Instagram, Urban Aroma with the underscore underneath the thing at the end. And yeah, we're about to get it live.
And if you're in New York, come and check out our galleries. We got some really live galleries in New York or in DC area. You come and check out the galleries, and you can Google Gifted BK. You got Legacy NYC, Legacy DC, Gifted Curators. Just go and check out some real art and culture, and understand that cannabis is culture, and it's more than just about capitalism. This is a community of people that was here before you got here, and put some spec on our name.
And shout out to our affiliates, man. Shout out to our affiliates, Viola brand, of course, Al Harrington. Shout out to our affiliates, people like Happy Monkey, Isaiah Thomas, Vlad Batista,
Happy Monkey, Astor Club,
the Astor Club. Shout out to the Astor Club.
Just all the good guys out here that's doing it right.
Shout out to Tucky from Blunts and More. You know what I'm saying? Come on,
Stone Pizza, Tookie. All the guys that's doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pizza Pusher.
And Pizza Pusher. Shout out Stone Pizza, and again, shout out and salute to Mr. John Monopoly, who is a culture shifter, and brings all that to where we are right now. So
Thank you for having me on the team, guys. Great meeting you, Mitch. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Again, appreciate the hospitality, Umi and M, when I was out in NYC at Legacy, man. Really appreciate you guys having us through there and putting us on game and what it looked like out there and coming on here. This is the the first of many, man. I know we got the article, I think, up on the site. We're get some more stuff. Anything we can do to be a resource with you guys and work in the future and connect both coasts, man. That's what the shit's all about, man. So really appreciate all three of y'all.
Oh man, love you for that, man. Appreciate you. We're here for you, man. Let's get it.
All of us.
No doubt, man. For anyone looking for more information, urbanaroma.com and on Instagram at urbanaroma with the underscore at the end, because I'm guessing likely y'all had to deal with the same bullshit that a lot of us with cannabis had to deal with on
social media.
Not the original profile.
Right.
You know it. But they can't stop us.
No, the culture is here, man. Well, appreciate you guys. We're going to get up out of here. We got another episode of the RMR podcast coming up, and we'll be back later this week with some more episodes.